The dying star cast crimson shadows across the bridge of the U.S. horizon as Commander Rhiannon Blake studied the emergency beacon signal. After 15 years in the Space Navy's Rescue Division, she'd thought she'd seen everything the universe could throw at her. The distress call from this remote planet had seemed routine. Another mining colony in trouble, perhaps, or a research station gone dark. But as the horizon broke through the planet's atmosphere, her instincts screamed that this was different. "Life signs confirmed, Commander," Lieutenant Pottle reported from his station, dark eyes fixed on the scanning equipment. "One signature, but..." He frowned, adjusting the controls. "The readings are unlike anything in our database." Rhiannon straightened her uniform, running a hand through her short, silver-streaked hair. At 42, she'd earned every one of those gray strands through countless rescue missions, each one more dangerous than the last. Location: 2 kilometers east, in what appears to be the ruins of a city. The planet's surface came into view, a wasteland of crystalline structures that might once have been beautiful, now crumbling under the assault of their dying sun. Whatever civilization had built this place was long gone, making the single life sign even more mysterious. "Bring us down, Lieutenant. Standard quarantine protocols." The horizon descended through swirling clouds of purple dust, landing in what might have once been a grand plaza. Through the view screen, Rhiannon could see the remnants of massive architecture, geometric patterns that defied Earth's understanding of mathematics etched into every surface. Donning her environmental suit, Rhiannon led a small team out onto the planet's surface. The air was thin but breathable, according to their instruments, though protocol demanded full protection when encountering unknown biological entities. They found her in what appeared to be a temple, a lone figure kneeling before a towering crystalline structure that pulsed with faint inner light. As Rhiannon approached, the figure turned, and everyone on the team froze. She was humanoid, but there any similarity to Earth's inhabitants ended. Her skin was like liquid moonlight, shifting with patterns that seemed to move of their own accord. Eyes the color of distant nebulae fixed on Rhiannon, with an intelligence that transcended species barriers. When she spoke, her voice seemed to bypass their ears entirely, resonating directly in their minds. "I am Kalis," the being said, rising with fluid grace. "Last keeper of the Nexus. I have been waiting for you." Rhiannon felt her team tense behind her, weapons not quite raised but ready. "I'm Commander Rhiannon Blake of the Earth Space Navy. We received your distress signal." "Yes." Kalis moved closer, her movements almost hypnotic. "My world is dying, Commander. The last of my people departed centuries ago, seeking new homes among the stars. I remain to guard our most sacred knowledge. But now," she gestured to the crumbling ruins around them, "there is nothing left to guard." Something in her voice stirred emotions Rhiannon hadn't felt in years, not since losing her wife in the Titan colony disaster. There was such profound loneliness, such deep sorrow in those otherworldly eyes. "What are you asking of us?" Rhiannon found herself stepping closer, despite her training screaming against it. "Take me with you," Kalis said simply. "I carry within me the last memories of my civilization, knowledge that could benefit your people greatly. But more than that." She reached out, her luminescent hand stopping just short of touching Rhiannon's faceplate. "I sense in you a kindred spirit, Commander. Someone who understands what it means to be the last of your kind." Behind her, Rhiannon heard Lieutenant Pottle clear his throat. "Commander, regulations specifically prohibit." "I know the regulations, Lieutenant." Rhiannon didn't take her eyes off Kalis. "But we're also understanding orders to preserve knowledge of alien civilizations whenever possible." The decision she made in that moment would later be scrutinized by countless review boards and military tribunals. But standing there, watching the last light of a dying sun paint shadows across Kalis's ethereal features, Rhiannon knew she couldn't leave her behind. The journey back to Earth was strange and wonderful. Kalis proved to be a fountain of knowledge about technologies Earth scientists had only dreamed of. She spoke of her people's achievements with a mixture of pride and melancholy that touched something deep in Rhiannon's soul. Their first kiss happened 3 weeks into the voyage, after Kalis had been cleared by the ship's medical staff. Her lips felt like stardust, and when they touched, Rhiannon saw visions of worlds beyond human imagination. "My people believe that love transcends species," Kalis whispered against Rhiannon's neck. "That when two souls recognize each other, it is because they have danced together in the heart of a star." Rhiannon should have noticed the warning signs, the way certain crew members became distant after speaking with Kalis alone, the strange dreams that plagued the ship's personnel, the occasional glitch in the ship's systems that the engineers couldn't explain. But love, as humans had learned countless times throughout history, had a way of blinding even the most vigilant eyes. By the time they reached Earth, Rhiannon had already decided to sponsor Kalis's request for citizenship. Their wedding, 6 months later, was a small affair, but it made headlines across the planet. The first official human-alien union. "You've given me a new home," Kalis said on their wedding night, her skin glowing with patterns that Rhiannon now recognized as expressions of joy. "A new purpose. And you've given me a second chance at love," Rhiannon replied, tracing the luminescent patterns with her fingertips. "I never thought I'd find that again." As they fell asleep in each other's arms, Rhiannon didn't see the patterns on Kalis's skin shift into something darker, more angular. Didn't notice the brief flicker in those nebula eyes that spoke of purposes far more ancient and terrible than love. The invasion had already begun, seated in dreams and whispered secrets, and humanity's greatest defender had just married its architect. 6 months after their wedding, the first incidents began. Rhiannon awoke one night to find Kalis standing by their bedroom window, her luminescent skin pulsing with patterns she'd never seen before. The alien woman was whispering in a language that made Rhiannon's ears hurt, her hands pressed against the glass, as if reaching for something in the distance. "Kalis," Rhiannon called softly, but her wife didn't respond. Only when Rhiannon touched her shoulder did Kalis turn, her nebula eyes momentarily dark and empty before recognition flooded back. "My love," she smiled, the strange patterns fading. "Did I wake you?" The next day, 3 personnel at the Naval Research Facility, where Kalis worked as a cultural liaison, failed to report for duty. When security checked their quarters, they found the rooms empty, beds unslept in. On their computers, strange symbols had been etched into the screens, the same angular patterns Rhiannon had seen pulsing across her wife's skin. "It's probably nothing," Admiral Harrison said during their morning briefing, but Rhiannon noticed the way his fingers drummed nervously on his desk. "But given the timing." "Given what timing, sir?" Rhiannon's spine stiffened. "We've received reports from other military installations worldwide. Personnel going missing, strange equipment malfunctions, and always those same symbols." He slid a tablet across the desk. "Your wife's been working closely with these facilities, sharing technological insights." Rhiannon studied the photographs, her heart beating faster. "Are you suggesting Kalis is involved?" "I'm suggesting we need to be careful, Commander. Your marriage has made you the highest-ranking military officer with direct access to an alien being. That puts you in a unique position to spy on my wife." The words tasted bitter. "To protect Earth, if necessary." That evening, Rhiannon found Kalis in their garden, tending to the strange phosphorescent flowers she'd begun growing. They looked like Earth roses, but glowed with the same shifting patterns as her skin. The botanical department had been ecstatic about the hybrid species, but now Rhiannon wondered what else might be hidden in that alien DNA. "You're troubled," Kalis said without looking up. Her fingers caressed a flower, and its glow intensified. "I can feel it in your heartbeat. 3 people disappeared from the facility today." "Yes, I heard." Kalis finally turned, her expression sorrowful. "Your world is so full of mysteries, my love. People vanish every day. Not from secure military installations." Something flickered in those cosmic eyes. "You suspect me." "Should I?" Kalis moved with liquid grace, wrapping her arms around Rhiannon. Where their skin touched, Rhiannon felt the familiar tingle of alien energy. My people believe that trust, like love, must be absolute. When doubt creeps in, it creates shadows where darkness can grow. That night, Rhiannon dreamed of crystalline cities rising from Earth's ruins, of humanity transformed into beings of light and shadow. She woke gasping, her skin burning where Kalis touched her. The missing personnel weren't the only changes. Rhiannon began noticing subtle differences in those who worked closely with Kalis. Dr. Patel, once talkative and warm, became withdrawn. His research notes, usually meticulous, devolved into pages of those angular symbols. When questioned, he claimed no memory of writing them. Security footage from the nights of the disappearances showed nothing unusual, but Rhiannon couldn't shake the feeling that the cameras had been looking in the wrong direction, or perhaps at the wrong spectrum of light. "Tell me about your people's exodus," Rhiannon asked one night, watching Kalis brush her luminescent hair. "You said they left centuries ago. Where did they go?" "To the stars," Kalis replied, her brush pausing mid-stroke, "to find new homes. And none of them ever returned. Never checked on their last keeper." Kalis's reflection smiled, but something about it seemed wrong, like looking at a photograph negative. "Some journeys, my love, are one way by design." The next morning, Admiral Harrison was found in his office, apparently asleep at his desk. When they couldn't wake him, medical personnel discovered he was in a coma, his brain showing patterns of activity never before recorded in humans. On his computer screen, a single message was typed over and over. "They dance in the star heart, waiting." That evening, Rhiannon accessed classified files about other alien encounters, looking for patterns. What she found chilled her. 3 other worlds had reported similar incidents, a lone survivor of a dying civilization, offering knowledge and partnership. Each time, the reports ended abruptly, the final transmissions containing the same angular symbols now appearing in their facility. When she returned home, she found Kalis in their bedroom, surrounded by the glowing flowers. They had spread, covering the walls like luminescent ivy. "Your heart is heavy with questions," Kalis said, her skin rippling with complex patterns. "Ask them. What really happened to your people, Kalis? They evolved." Kalis smiled, and for the first time, Rhiannon saw something ancient and terrible in that expression. As all species must, as humanity will. The missing people are becoming more than they were. Kalis reached out, her fingers now seeming longer, more angular. "As you will, my love. When the star heart opens, when the dreaming ends, you'll understand. We'll dance together in the void between worlds." Rhiannon backed away, reaching for her sidearm, but her limbs felt heavy. The flowers were pulsing now, their light synchronizing with the patterns on Kalis's skin. "Sleep now," Kalis whispered, her voice resonating in frequencies that made Rhiannon's vision blur. "Dream of our future. When you wake, the transformation will have begun." As consciousness faded, Rhiannon's last thought was of the missing personnel, of Admiral Harrison's endless message. Somewhere in the distance, she heard singing, an alien chorus welcoming new voices to its eternal dance. The invasion wasn't coming. It was already here. Rhiannon woke in the medical bay 3 days later, her skin burning with faint phosphorescent patterns that faded under the harsh hospital lights. Dr. Winters, the lead xenobiologist, stood at her bedside reviewing readings with a troubled expression. "You're the first to wake up," she said without preamble. "The others who were exposed are still in some kind of metamorphic state, including Admiral Harrison." Rhiannon tried to sit up, fighting waves of dizziness. Her reflection in the medical bay window showed brief flickers of luminescence beneath her skin like distant lightning. Kalis, gone, along with 30% of the base's personnel. The flowers in your home contained a neural reactive compound we've never seen before. It seems to rewrite human DNA, but the process only works on certain individuals. Dr. Winters handed her a tablet. "You need to see this." The screen showed satellite imagery from around the globe. Patches of luminescent growth had appeared in major cities, always near centers of power or military installations. Aerial photos revealed geometric patterns in their spread, the same angular symbols they'd been finding everywhere. "It's not just here," Dr. Winters continued. "We've detected similar energy signatures on Mars colony and the lunar base. The infection, if we can call it that, is spreading faster than we can contain it." Rhiannon's hands trembled as she swiped through the images. "How many?" "Conservative estimates. 20,000 people worldwide are either missing or in a metamorphic state similar to Admiral Harrison's, and those are just the ones we know about." Security footage from the night of Rhiannon's exposure showed Kalis moving through the base's corridors, her form shifting between solid and ethereal. Where she passed, cameras failed and security systems went dark. The few guards who encountered her were found later in cocoons of luminescent material, their bodies undergoing the same transformation as the others. "What happened to me? Why am I awake when the others aren't?" Dr. Winters' expression softened slightly. "Your DNA shows signs of partial transformation, but something stopped the process. We think." She hesitated. "We think it might be related to your previous exposure through physical intimacy with Kalis. You've developed a partial immunity." The implications hit Rhiannon like a physical blow. Every kiss, every caress over the past months had been slowly changing her at a cellular level. Their love had been real. She refused to believe otherwise. But it had also been a vector for something else. "There's more," Dr. Winters said quietly. "We found this in your house." She handed Rhiannon another tablet, this one containing a video file. Kalis's ethereal face filled the screen, her skin pulsing with complex patterns that made Rhiannon's partially altered DNA resonate. "My beloved," the recording began, "if you're watching this, you've resisted the gift I tried to give you. Your love for humanity remains stronger than your love for me. I understand. It's why I chose you. That strength, that loyalty, is what my people need for the next stage." Kalis's form in the recording shifted, becoming more crystalline, more alien. "We are the Lightbringers, my love. When my people left our dying world, we didn't seek new planets. We sought new forms of existence. In the heart of a dying star, we found what we sought, transcendence. But to achieve it, we need bridges, anchors in physical form." The image shifted, showing vast crystalline structures floating in space, pulsing with the same light that now flickered beneath Rhiannon's skin. "Those we've chosen are becoming those bridges. The flowers, the dreams, the transformations, all prepare them for ascension. Humanity has such potential, my love, such capacity for evolution. Join us willingly and help guide your people to transcendence. Fight us and watch them ascend anyway, but through pain rather than joy." The recording ended with a series of coordinates and a time. 3 days hence. "It's an invitation," Rhiannon whispered. "Or a trap." Dr. Winters pulled up another file. "We found records of similar incidents throughout history. The Roanoke colony disappearance, the Mary Celeste, dozens of cases where people vanished en masse. Each time, there were reports of strange lights, unusual growth patterns. They've been preparing us for centuries," Rhiannon realized. "Seeding the ground, testing our compatibility. And now they're harvesting." Dr. Winters' voice hardened. "The question is, Commander, whose side are you on? Because those energy patterns under your skin suggest you're not entirely human anymore." Rhiannon stared at her reflection, watching the faint luminescence pulse in time with her heartbeat. Every cell in her body yearned to follow Kalis, to complete the transformation she'd begun. But deeper than that alien call was something fundamentally human: rage at being manipulated, at having her love used as a weapon against her species. "Get me General Roberts," she said, her voice steady despite the fire in her veins. "We have 3 days to prepare a response. And if we can't stop them..." Rhiannon thought of Kalis's smile, of the joy and wonder they'd shared. Then she thought of Admiral Harrison, trapped in an eternal dream while his body transformed into something inhuman. "Then I'll make sure humanity goes down fighting, not sleeping." As she spoke, The patterns beneath her skin flared brighter, as if responding to her determination. Somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, she could feel Callus watching, waiting to see if love would prove stronger than duty. The choice ahead would determine not just Earth's fate, but potentially the future of human consciousness itself. The coordinates Callus provided led to a remote area in the Atacama Desert. As Rhiannon stood at the command center of the hastily assembled military response team, satellite imagery showed massive crystalline structures emerging from the sand like ancient bones of some cosmic creature. Energy readings are off the charts, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. Whatever's down there, it's been growing exponentially over the last 48 hours. Rhiannon felt it calling to her. The partial transformation had left her with a connection to whatever force drove Callus's people. Every hour, the pull grew stronger, accompanied by visions of infinite possibilities, of humanity transformed into beings of pure energy and thought. Status of the containment units, she asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. Ready. If your theory is correct, the stasis fields should disrupt the transformation process. Dr. Winters looked up from her instruments. But, Commander, we still don't know what triggering the device will do to those already changed. Including me, Rhiannon thought, watching another shimmer of light race beneath her skin. The plan was desperate, built on Rhiannon's unique condition and fragments of information gleaned from studying the transformed victims. They discovered that the metamorphosis relied on a quantum entanglement between the victims and whatever lay at these coordinates. Break that connection, and they might save those not fully changed. Movement detected, Rodriguez called out. Multiple signatures emerging from the structures. The main display showed figures walking out of the crystal formations, humans in various stages of transformation. Some still looked mostly normal, save for the luminescent patterns on their skin. Others had become almost entirely crystalline, their forms fluid and ever-changing. And at their center, radiant and terrible in her true form, walked Callus. My love, her voice echoed in Rhiannon's mind, bypassing their communications entirely. Have you reconsidered? There's still time to join us willingly. Rhiannon activated the command channel. All units, hold position. Wait for my signal. To Callus, she broadcast her thoughts, using the connection they shared. I want to understand. Show me the truth. She felt Callus's joy, genuine despite everything. Come to me then. See what we offer. Against the protests of her team, Rhiannon took a shuttle down to the surface. As she walked toward the crystalline structures, she saw the missing personnel from her base among the transformed. Admiral Harrison's new form was almost beautiful, his human features merged with geometric patterns that caught the desert sunlight. They're not in pain, Callus said, approaching. Her true form was mesmerizing, a being of living light and crystal, vaguely humanoid but constantly shifting. They're experiencing rapture beyond human comprehension. And those who rejected the change sleep until they're ready to accept the gift. Callus extended a crystalline hand. Humanity was never meant to remain as you are. We've guided countless species to transcendence. Some fight it, some embrace it, but evolution cannot be denied. Rhiannon took her hand, feeling the familiar tingle of transformation trying to complete itself in her cells. Show me everything. The visions crashed over her like a tsunami. She saw the Lightbringer's origin, how they had discovered a way to exist as beings of pure energy and thought. Saw how they had appointed themselves shepherds of evolution, seeking out species with potential and guiding them, willing or not, to a similar transcendence. She saw the future they planned for Earth, humanity ascending to join a vast consciousness that spanned galaxies, leaving their physical forms behind. No more pain, no more death, no more limitations. Beautiful, isn't it? Callus's voice rippled through her mind. Yes, Rhiannon whispered. And it was beautiful, seductive, perfect, which is exactly why she couldn't let it happen. In one fluid motion, Rhiannon activated the device hidden beneath her uniform, A pulse of carefully calibrated energy burst outward, designed to disrupt the quantum entanglement that enabled the transformation. Kaelus's cry of betrayal shattered crystal formations for miles around. The transformed humans collapsed, their crystalline forms destabilizing. Admiral Harrison and the others began to shift back, the process reversing itself. "What have you done?" Kaelus's form flickered between human and crystal, her control wavering. "Humanity may evolve," Rhiannon said, fighting the pain as her own partial transformation began to unravel. "But it will be on our terms, not as an invasion, not as a forced ascension. You don't understand what you're refusing." Kaelus reached for her, but her hand passed through Rhiannon like smoke. "The stars await us, and maybe we'll reach them someday." Rhiannon activated the second phase of the device, expanding the disruption field. "But we'll do it ourselves." The crystalline structures began to collapse, their energy dissipating. Kaelus's form became increasingly unstable, the light within her flickering like a dying star. "I loved you," she said, her voice fading. "I loved you too." Rhiannon felt tears on her cheeks, watched them fall through Kaelus's increasingly transparent form. But love shouldn't mean surrender. As the disruption field reached its peak, Kaelus and her transformed followers began to dissolve into pure energy, drawn back to whatever dimension they had come from. In her last moment of coherence, she sent Rhiannon one final thought. "We will meet again, my love, when your species is truly ready." Then she was gone, leaving only fading patterns of light in the desert air and the memory of what might have been. Behind Rhiannon, the rescue teams moved in to collect the survivors. The war was over, but the price of victory would haunt her forever. 3 months after the Atacama incident, Rhiannon stood before the United Earth Defense Council, the last traces of luminescence finally fading from her skin. The room was packed with military officials, scientists, and representatives from every major nation, all seeking answers about humanity's closest brush with cosmic transcendence. "The recovery efforts continue," she reported, her voice steady despite the persistent ache in her chest, where Kaelus's presence used to be. Of the 23,000 affected individuals worldwide, 98% have returned to normal human physiology. The remaining 2%, she paused, touching the faint geometric scar over her heart, showed traces of the transformation that may never fully reverse. The chamber's holographic displays showed images from around the world, the crystalline structures crumbling to dust, the luminescent flowers withering, the transformed humans returning to themselves. But it also showed something else, changes in those who had been touched by the Lightbringer's influence. Dr. Winters stepped forward, taking over the presentation. While the forced transformation was stopped, exposure to the Lightbringer's technology has left its mark on human evolution. We're seeing increased cognitive capabilities in recovered victims, enhanced neuroplasticity, and in some cases, limited ability to perceive quantum phenomena. "Are they dangerous?" General Roberts asked, voicing the fear that had dominated military discussions. "No more than any other human," Rhiannon answered firmly. "They're still themselves, still human, just with an expanded understanding of what that means." She didn't mention her own dreams, where she still sometimes saw through Kaelus's eyes, witnessing the vast dance of consciousness that spanned the galaxies. Didn't speak of the equations that now wrote themselves in her mind, offering glimpses of technologies humanity might have gained through the transformation. "The Lightbringers' attempt to force our evolution failed," she continued, "but they showed us possibilities we can't ignore. Humanity now knows, without doubt, that consciousness can transcend physical form. The question is, what do we do with that knowledge?" The council chambers erupted in debate. Some argue for suppressing all information about the incident, fearing mass panic. Others saw opportunity. Controlled research into the transformation process, voluntary programs for those who wish to explore enhanced consciousness. Commander Blake, the council president's voice cut through the chaos. "You, more than anyone, understand both the promise and peril of what the Lightbringers offered. What is your recommendation?" Rhiannon thought of Kalis, not the ethereal being of light she had become, but the woman she had loved. Thought of the joy in her eyes when sharing knowledge, the genuine desire to help humanity reach its potential. "We go forward," she said finally, but carefully. "The recovered victims who retain enhanced abilities should be studied, not as specimens, but as partners in understanding what we might become. The technological insights we've gained should be developed, but with ethical oversight and global cooperation." She gestured to the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. "The Lightbringers showed us a possible future, but tried to force it upon us. Their mistake wasn't in believing we could transcend our current form. It was in thinking they had the right to make that choice for us. Let's prove them wrong by making our own path to the stars." The Council's final decision established the Stellar Evolution Initiative, a global program to study the effects of the transformation and develop technologies based on their understanding of Lightbringer science. Rhiannon was appointed its director, her unique perspective and partial transformation making her the ideal bridge between human and post-human possibilities. Late that night, standing in her office at the new research facility, Rhiannon touched the geometric patterns that still occasionally shimmered beneath her skin. In the distance, she felt a familiar resonance. Kalis and her people, watching from whatever realm they now inhabited. "You were right about one thing," she whispered to the stars. "We are meant for more than this, but we'll get there our way and in our time." She turned to her desk, where research teams had begun decoding the mathematical patterns left behind in the transformed victim's genetic code. Each equation, each formula was a step toward understanding the greater universe, not as conquered territory, but as a path to be walked at humanity's own pace. The luminescent flowers in her office, the last surviving specimens, bloomed with a softer light now, not the harsh glow of forced evolution, but a gentle reminder of what awaited humanity when they were truly ready. Somewhere in the vast cosmos, Kalis was waiting, not as an invader or a bride, but as a possibility, a glimpse of what humanity might one day choose to become. The stars beckoned, but this time, humanity would reach them on their own terms. And maybe, Rhiannon thought, touching the scar that still resonated with alien energy, that's what love, real love, whether between individuals or species, was always meant to be, not a forced transformation, but a patient wait for mutual understanding and willing evolution. The future was unwritten, and for the first time in human history, they could see all the way to the end of the page.